Partner at Gainful Solutions, Stephen Hayes, joins me live from Washington, D.C. for more on this conflict. Good to have you join us.
Good to be with you again.
So a week into intensified hostilities, who has the upper hand? And is there now a shift in the balance of power in the Middle East?
Well, there's always almost a constant shift in the Middle East. It's just the nature of the Middle East in many ways. The upper hand right now does belong to Israel. They control the airspace of Iran. That hasn't been denied by Iran. It's been fairly open. So it's the upper hand, as you ask, is Israel's right now. It's going to what happens over the next 2 weeks is going to affect the Iran's relationships with Russia and China as well. It's obviously going to affect a global power balance too, but how it's going to affect it remains to be seen.
There is a meeting meant for today, which is supposed to take place in Geneva, amongst between the foreign secretaries or foreign ministers of UK, France, Germany, and then Iran. But just before his departure, Iran's foreign minister Rakchi said on state television that his country was not seeking or is not seeking negotiations with anyone, and that's as long as Israel continues the attacks. Was that just posturing, or does that underscore the diplomatic challenges ahead?
Well, I think it's both. He is posturing in the sense that he has gone on to Europe. He is in discussions. So there is some form of negotiation. That negotiation may be only Iran laying out its positions, but at the same time, he's going to be listening to the Europeans. So there is something going on. Now, whether it has any effect, that's another question. Because in fact he has said he's not going to be doing anything, so remains to be seen what happens. But the fact is that unless the U.S. weighs in one way or another, which isn't going to happen apparently for 2 weeks, those talks are not going to go very far. The major benefit will be a direct line from the Europeans to President Trump.
And you mentioned the talks and the deadline and ultimatum given by President Trump for 2 weeks. Now, if this meeting that's the meeting in Geneva, doesn't offer any prospect for de-escalation or Iran's rollback on its nuclear weapon development, do you believe that President Trump will follow through with the threat to strike Iran?
I'm not sure what to believe. I think that's his power, I suppose, that no one really knows what to believe when he speaks. He has given 2 weeks. I think that those 2 weeks are really to give Israel time to make advances, and I think he's going to weigh how far Israel has gone as to whether the U.S. needs to become involved from his point of view. The 2 weeks does also give him breathing space to decide whether he really means 2 weeks or whether he'll stretch it on as he has many other things unrelated to the Middle East. I think it's anybody's guess right now. I think the wild card is his discussions with President Putin and Xi in China. I think those two are going to have some influence on Trump's decision as well.
So following the fall of Assad and Israel's bombing and decimation of Hezbollah in Lebanon, the narrative is that, look, Iran's axis of resistance has been weakened in the Middle East. And with this attack as well, people are saying, look, Iran is in a weakened position. But is Iran really out of options?
Well, Iran's not out of options. You always have options regardless of the state of affairs that you may find yourself in. I think they still have an alliance with Russia. Russia doesn't want to collapse the Iranian regime. It has an alliance with China. I think the danger there is that if Iran were to falter or lose power, then Russia and China becomes embarrassed as well. Their influence is diminished. So I think that the options are still varied. Iran still has missiles that it can fire to Israel or other targets. And so the options are still very much out there until there's some decisive action, and there may not be. In most wars these days, there's not any really decisive action because things tend to go on and on forever.
And just because you mentioned Russia and China, we see that Russia specifically has been more vocal in its attacks against Israel on this war and its support for Iran. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said today that Russia would react very negatively if Israel were to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, that's Khamenei, with U.S. assistance. What's the prospect of a direct response by Iran's regional proxies and its allies like Russia and China?
I think China has played it very well in some ways. It's expressed its support for Iran, but it hasn't entered into the fray. Russia is at risk because Iran supplies a good deal of its weapons that's being used, particularly the drones that are being used on the Ukrainians. So Russia is a fall of the regime in Iran would hurt Russia quite a bit. So they're going to be very vocal and very strong in supporting Iran. But again, they can only go so far because they're really drawn into the Russia-Ukraine war right now. Whatever that level is on Trump.
The world is waiting for a diplomatic solution. All eyes are on Geneva at this time. Partner at Gainful Solutions, Stephen Hayes, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. My honor as usual. Thank you.